Hello everyone, welcome back. So in the last tutorial I kind of showed the overview of Lightforge and how lights are represented in each individual group in the groups panel. I also showed how to set the attributes of a light, such as intensity, color, and any other attributes that the intelligent light would have, through all of this over here. So if you didn't watch the first tutorial, please go back to Lightforge group and attributes tutorial. Though this tutorial I'm going to talk a little bit about palettes. So a palette, you can see this is our palettes panel over here, and you can see I have some palettes in here. A palette is essentially just a preset. So, you know, this lighting rig right here is actually a pretty small lighting rig for what would happen for shows or church services. So we need a way to recall kind of a base preset, sort of like a template, so that when we're writing our cues and actually programming it for specific events, it's easier. So say I want to have everything pink, which I did last video, and I'll turn my movers on. I'll set their gobo to 38%, and I can't tell right now, I'm not actually in the sanctuary, I can't tell what this is, so this could look ridiculous, but this is why you always want to program when you're in the sanctuary. So I'll set gobo rotate to really fast. Okay, sorry about that noise. And I'll put gobo secondary in there, maybe add some secondary color wheel, put some blue and amber in each one of those lights, rotate the prism a lot. Okay, so I set my movers. Maybe I want to save that preset of the movers. So if I just click add palette, it's going to ask me what the palette name is, and let's just say pink fun movers. So it pops up this thing. So and this is to select the attributes in each palette. So a palette will take any attribute, an attribute being anything that's listed right here: intensity, color, pan, tilt, color wheel, secondary, strobe, gobo rotate, anything like that a palette will take. But yeah, so it'll take anything, or it will only take specific things. So if you want to set a focus palette, for example, so that's where the lights are pointed, you could deselect everything, and only select pan and tilt, and that would make your palette apply only to the pan and tilt. It's only going to save the pan and tilt values that are in the entire lighting rig right now. A palette saves the entire lighting rig for the pan or tilt. It actually saves the entire lighting rig, everything that is not, everything that is overridden, so everything that is not released. And you can see, and everything that has a yellow border around it, that's not released. And I will talk about that more when we talk about programming cues and how that affects programming cues. But just know that a palette will save everything that is not released for the intent, or for the attributes that you choose right here. So I want pink fun movers, so I don't want them to be on. I just want to have this preset. So I'll put red, green, and blue. I'm pretty sure I set the color wheel, so I'll put the color wheel in there. I don't want I don't want them to keep their strobe value in there, so I'll just use gobo rotate, gobo secondary. I'll use prism and prism, rotate, focus, and pan tilt speed. Sure, why not? That's a system control, but it shouldn't make that much difference. So okay, so I'll save that, and you can see here that it just went into my first group, and right now I have first service just because that's how I have it set up currently. That doesn't mean you guys can't change it or everything like that. But so now if I change these to white and I change all of this stuff, all I have to do is click a group that I want to apply the palette to, and then I can click pink fun movers, and you can see that now it's going to fade to that setting that we just saved in there. So a palette works as a preset, and the way that I have done it here, and it's kind of it's not very well organized right now, but one thing that I've done is I've kind of done focus palettes here. So, or sorry, intensity palettes, which means I've set kind of the general intensity that everything should be, and that's what's labeled. So like first service, you'll see here, one thing to note is that the lights will fade if this is on down here. This fade button, it's on right now. I'm going to take it off and they'll instantly go, but you can see, that'll help you guys see better. But so if I click first service, it faded to first service, and I have other attributes besides intensity set in this palette. Once again, it's kind of a mess from the way we used to do things, and I don't like that way, so I'm not even going to tell it to you guys. But essentially what I use them for now is just to set the intensity of this group and that group and this group. I mean, to set the intensity of these groups, and then when I'm writing my cues, I'll change what these groups, the attributes, the other attributes besides intensity of these groups. What that does is it'll make it so that like my house lights will always be the same intensity, my front light will always be the same intensity, etc. So I have first service, I have sound check. You can see the lights changed. A lot of the front light went off. The B band light went off up there. I'm gonna select the whole rig to show you more. So pre-service, I take out all of my front light. First song, you can see I have front light come up. I have my house lights come down, and so this is where it's nice to have a focus palette an intensity palette, because I make sure that the house lights aren't too low so that people can still see their feet. This is for safety reasons, so that people can still walk in and not trip over things, etc., etc. So yeah, that was the first song one. You can click second song, third song, fourth song, and you can see that the intensities of these lights are changing. And I use that to build my cues. Cues are down here, and they're the presets that we actually play back during service. So each element of service has its own kind of intensity palette that I use. I also have some special controls down here. I have movers on and movers off. Nope, movers off disappeared. Pretty much these right at this point are useless. I haven't reprogrammed them. But you could right click. If you click update palette, it's going to take what's currently here and update the palette. One of the things that I use a lot is a focus palette. So my movers, I only have programmed pan and tilt into here, so I can change. You can see the little dots on the screen. They are changing position. That would tell you that the light position is changing, and this is just so that I can focus the lights very quickly in pre-aimed positions, and it makes programming a lot easier. And I have a bunch of different options, so they don't all have to be the same, and I can edit it before I add it to the cue. So that's an overview of palettes. I hope that was helpful. Stick around next time. I'm going to talk about cues and how palettes affect cues, how just setting a light affects cues, and what to do, and pretty much how to run cues as well. This tutorial series is designed to be complete, so that's why I didn't start with running cues to begin with. I'll explain though how to run cues in the next video.